Evening everybody, Christian here. Today I'd like to share something with you about discipline. This comes from my own understanding, kind of growing in that area. You may already know this. It was something that I kind of struggled with for a while. I think for me, discipline came from trying to replace bad habits with good ones, right? I know for me, one of the big ones was just reading my Bible every day. That was something that I wanted to accomplish. I knew it had great value if I would do that, but it just again and again I struggled with it and I couldn't seem to bring it under control. And I think part of the reason was that I had misunderstood how to obtain a good discipline in anything. And I remember that I smoked for many years. For those of you guys who do smoke, I'm not saying you can't be a Christian or anything of that nature. It's just something that I wanted to quit, and I had smoked for 20-something years, and it was difficult for me to quit that as well. So I learned kind of a bad habit by going through those experiences, and so I want to share with you what insight I have now on those topics. Basically just the topic of building a good discipline. First, let me tell you how I used to do it. My thoughts on discipline was always, okay, I have a bad discipline, or I want something broken, or I want a new discipline, or whatever. So what would that look like? Well, it would look like me read the Bible every single day, So, okay, I need to do that. So I'd pick up a Bible on, Monday and read, and then Tuesday, and then I'd read, and then Wednesday, and however days a week ago. And after I went through that, and I was building this positive habit, I started to pat myself on the back, good job, And then eventually something would happen. I'd get up late for work or something would go on and I would miss my reading. And the moment that I had done that, I was very frustrated. I dropped the ball. Now, that may seem really easy to fix, but when you're looking at it from a smoker's perspective, you're trying to quit smoking and you might go so many hours or a day or two or maybe even a few days. But then you break down, you get in an argument with your spouse, or you have a really rough day at work, something happens and you decide, that's it, I'm going to go smoke. The moment you go and you do that and you start smoking, all of a sudden you've broken that you were non-smoker for a couple of days and now you're smoking again. Well, you failed. So what do? You keep smoking until the next time you decide you want to try to quit again. And that kind of reinforces bad idea, this bad logic in my mind, that a new discipline required you to be perfect and for a long period of time until all of a sudden it just took over and became a new habit. But I would fail again and again trying to build disciplines that way. What I learned later in life, after I became very disciplined in multiple areas of my life, I started to see this pattern. And this pattern was, whenever you really build a discipline, you start the same way like everybody else. I want to do this particular thing, and this day happens, and that day happens, and that next day, and the next, and the next. Eventually, you're going to have a hiccup. Something's going to happen, right? If nothing happens, great, but more times than not, you're going to have an incident where you drop the ball, okay? So what? Persevere beyond it. The next day, or the next whatever opportunity comes along for you to apply that new discipline, do so. Having a missed step is pretty common in all of the different disciplines that I have acquired over the years. And that's what kind of started to show me that pattern, that habit, Once I gained that understanding, it was that much easier for me to build new positive habits because I understood that it's part of the process. You're going to slip up, okay? And you're just going to pick it up and start again. You do the same thing with sin, right? You first come to Christ and you say, okay, that's it. The dead man, the old man is dead and I'm a new creature in Christ. But you've got these habits, right? And they start to show up. Well, you slip up and you cuss. I actually did that in church one time. I cussed in church, right? The F word, as loud as you could. It was real loud. And it just came out of my mouth. Why? Because I had that habit. And one day I stood up real quick and there was a speaker over my head and hit me right in the middle of the head and the F word just echoed. It was awesome. It was horrible. But it was one of those things where you move forward. You don't just say, oh, well, I messed up. Let's all cuss from now on. That's not really how it works. So anyway, I just want to share it with you. It's a concept that I learned to overcome anything requires that you persevere through the struggle, the stumble, okay? It's just a normal part of it. I want to share one verse with you and let you go. This is in Hebrews chapter 12, verse 11, and it says, "No discipline seems enjoyable at the moment, but painful. Later on, however, it yields a peaceful harvest of righteousness to those who have been trained by it." Okay? This is something that if you were to break down that verse, you'd find that whenever it says things like no discipline, that it means that there's more than one discipline. And when it says it's painful, well, it's going to be uncomfortable, okay? So don't be surprised if it's uncomfortable. When it says that later on, talking about perseverance, right? It yields a peaceful harvest. We're talking about fruit, right? Of righteousness, fruit of righteousness, which we know doesn't come without perseverance. So this should be common knowledge, and it probably is to a lot of you, but it just wasn't to me. I just wanted to share it with you guys and let you know that whatever you're dealing with, whatever you're trying to build, keep building. Even when you stumble, when you drop something, pick it up, start again, keep going. God bless, take care, and I'll see you in the next one.